Tom.
How you doing? Good to see your smiling faces. Just want to start by letting everybody know that we have begun a new tradition at Indiana. And really excited about honoring George Taliaferro in a very specific way on our team. And so we're going to award a George Taliaferro Award each year. It may be cumulative based on the age of the recipient to wear number 44 in honor of George Taliaferro. And Aaron Casey is going to be our first recipient of that award, and so he's going to change from 46 to 44. And just a tremendous way for us to honor a tremendous man that we have a statue of. It sits in front of our stadium on the north end zone, and our players get a chance to walk past that statue every time they enter our facility. And so want to be able to pick a young man that embodies his trailblazing spirit, his toughness, his athleticism, his character, his leadership. And I think Aaron Casey, who we all call Ace, we think he's a great representative in this first inaugural recipient of the George Taliaferro Award. And like you said, he has a couple years of eligibility, so he'll wear that for the next 2 years. And then when he graduates, then we'll award it to the next player. And George played on both sides of the football, so we feel like it's a universal award that can go to any of our guys that represent his spirit and his character, and I'm really excited about that. So at this time, we'll just take questions.
Hey, Coach, I've interviewed all three of your players here. Great guys. Just congratulations, three guys you brought. Tell me something special. You chose these three guys to bring them up here for this. I mean, was there some special quality that they stood out over everybody else, or just, I mean, they all talked about the team and they all talked about you, so a testament to you. But let's talk about these three guys.
Yeah, they're three special young men. But I will say this: of all the years I've been here, we could have brought a whole bunch more. You know, it was a tough decision to make. We had a lot of guys who I feel like have been with us for several years and really truly embody the spirit of our program and the culture that we built, and they bought into that. And I'll just start with Cam. You know, he's going to be a three-time captain. That's pretty special. I mean, that does not happen very often at any place. And so, you know, he came, as we've said in the past, he was recruited as a wide receiver, and then he played the Husky position for a year, and then we moved him to our stinger, which is our weak side linebacker spot. And so obviously a tremendous athlete, but it's who he is as a man that sticks out. And that's why I'm just thrilled that they're here today, so you get a chance to see him and talk to him and hear from him. And he's very, and he's just so thoughtful in what he says. Just a very sharp young man in the way he processes everything, the way he cares about his teammates, the way he cares about our program. His work ethic is phenomenal. He comes from a great family. He's been raised right. He's just, man, he's everything you want in a player and as a leader, which is why he's been voted captain 3 different times. So I think that sticks out to me for sure. And then honestly, when last season ended the way that it did, and you know, he was one of the first guys coming to me and saying, "Coach, this is, you know, we're gonna create change. You know, we're gonna get back to, we're gonna finish this off the way it's supposed to finish off." So Taiwan, you know, I don't know, man, what a special guy. Tremendous combination of confidence and swagger and humility. You know, just love, once again, his work ethic. Now, that's the guy that really hurt us last year by not having him. You know, he got injured in the Western Kentucky game and was never the same since. Tried to play a few times. We tried to get him back. That was a frustrating one because it just kept, you know, you thought you might get him, but then you didn't, and then you might, and it just never happened. So they eventually had to shut it all down. But that void was big for us, you know, not just in playmaking, but just the locker room and on the field presence. And so I think it's pretty obvious, you know, why he's here. You know, one of our best players, our most decorated player. Being a first-team All-American is hard to earn, and also first-team All-Big Ten on his resume. And so, but he also is a great spokesperson for who we are. He understands Indiana football. He understands the culture. He picked us for a reason. He came here with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove. He's not the biggest guy on the field. Never has been, never will be. But his heart is massive, and his talent is impressive, and he's just a leader, and our guys respect him. And so that's why he's here. And then you got A.J. Barner, who I really really think a lot of. There's a toughness to him. There's obviously the size and the athleticism. It's impressive. He's played behind, Peyton Hendershot the last couple of years, and so you haven't had a chance for him to be featured as much. But at the same time, I think he's got a tremendous skill set. He's a high school linebacker. Didn't play tight end in high school. Came to our camp as a defensive end and a linebacker. And but we always kind of viewed him as a potential tight end even back then. And so I feel like that his leadership is what separated himself. He's on our leadership council. I watch all the workouts. I see our guys interact with one another, and I notice who has the influence and who do the guys listen to. And so he's one of those guys, and he gives us a physical and a verbal presence on offense that you have to have. So like I said, those were just three of many that we could have picked to come today, and I think they all have unique qualities, and they're all excellent students. All of them have excelled in the classroom, so they fully embody the service, the academic focus, and the football prowess that you need to be able to come to something special like this.
Thanks, Coach.
With David Ellis going, who are the candidates to be returners for you guys this year?
Yeah, so I would say, even though DJ was injured in that return game in the past, that's what he does really well, and he'll be in the mix for that for sure. I think even a guy like Brian Fitzgerald is a guy that has done that quite a bit. He's really good at it. Jalen Lucas is a guy that's just joined us in January. Tremendous change of direction and speed for us. He'll be a guy back there as well. I think Sean Shivers as well, Josh Henderson as well. David Holloman will be a guy back there. So we have multiple guys we're going to give opportunities for in spring ball. James Mons has been a return guy, a punt returner, kick returner in high school. The punt returner, that's the different one. That's the one that not everybody can do. It's a lot easier to catch a kickoff than it is to catch a punt. And so I feel like that probably there's a smaller pool for the punt return list, quite a much of a bigger pool for the kickoff return list, but I knew that even though Mark Cooper's the guy that's been a return guy in high school. So we've got some talented freshmen that are going to get a shot this fall camp, and then some older guys that will get in rotation too. So, but David, to me, that's one of those that my heart breaks for him. He never really got a chance to become on the field what he knew he could be. I knew he could be, but he and I are close, and we've grown even closer throughout this whole process. So he's going to be, a tremendous, young man and grow into a man, and to be able to fulfill himself academically. So, he definitely leaves a void in that area, even though he didn't have a chance to do a lot on the field like we hoped he would.
And how important is it? How important is it overall in this new NIL era for programs to have a robust NIL program behind them?
It's imperative. I don't think you have a choice, and so, and it doesn't really matter what you think about it, how much bought in you are to it or not. It's not going away. It's only going to continue to grow, and so the programs and the alumni bases and the fundraising that can figure it out and get people involved is going to be the ones that thrive, and so it's here to stay. I think everybody agrees with that. Who knows what the future holds with it, but I know we have to embrace it, like our infrastructure, but we got to continue to grow the participation within it, and that's just being honest and being real, and that's part of it, and everybody in America is going to have to have that approach, and I think you have to just really have a good leadership, strong leadership, which we do, and now we got to get the people convinced that have the resources to buy into it and get involved.
Tom, we talked 3 years ago here at this event about the Big Ten East being such a tough neighborhood and trying to get, break through to get into that top group. 2019, you finished fourth. 2020, you finished second, and last year happened. What did you learn about how hard it is to get there, and then even more so how hard it is to stay there as you head into this year?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great, progression visually. I think things we sometimes lose sight of that, and I think it's a great reminder that when you play at a highly competitive level, you're in a fragile existence. You have the chance to be in a certain spot, and then how quickly it can change, right? And so I think that when you go through it, it makes you appreciate what you build to and how hard it is to stay there, without question. But it's still big picture view of everything. I think you can't get short-sighted, and yeah, last year was really, really hard, and it's something I never want to go through again, but at the same time, it makes you appreciate and recognize how hard it is to be at a certain level within a program and to be able to have success, and then when you have success, to be able to not just sustain it but continue to grow that, without letting complacency set in or whatever happens when teams, you often talk about, why have teams in the NFL, it's hard to stay, well, the structure is built into for you not to stay there, obviously, but also there's a motivation piece to that. So when you start having success and you have a whole offseason, people telling you how great you are and how great you're going to be, then how does that affect you when you got a whole bunch of people telling you what you're not going to do? And that kind of chip that creates in you is a powerful thing, So you have to battle that, and so you have to learn, I think. And so when you're building a program, you have to learn and how you handle success, how you handle the setbacks, And so we've obviously had a chance to experience both. And so, I don't know if I got all the answers for that, but I do know that this year feels a whole lot different, And the guys that are here today, I mean, they lived it. They all experienced it. They were all here in 19 and 20, and now they're here 21. Now they're ready for 22, especially Taiwan and Cam. And so to me, it's about having those hungry guys, that understand that, man, it's a fine line, and we're going to battle and battle and battle to get where we want to be. So I see a team right now that's hungry and a team that's got a chip on their shoulder and something to prove.
Tom, you built this team on defense.
As a coach, do you feel more natural and in your wheelhouse preparing a team with lower expectations like this year or higher expectations? Or?
Oh, I mean, there's no question. I mean, when you're told you can't do this, you can't do that, that's a powerful thing. I think we all would agree with that. Now, I'd much rather you be in a situation where you have a different expectation maybe, but from an internal motivation perspective, yes. That's a different feel for sure, and there's a powerful part in proving somebody wrong. We all know that, right? It's human nature. But I also want our guys to understand that to build a program that's expected to do a certain thing in a certain year, I want us to be able to handle that and do well, in my opinion.
You built this program on defense when you first came here, and then you had to take on the other responsibilities as a head coach. Did last year, is that what played the part in you going back to calling the defense? Was that just part of it? What ultimately led to that decision?
Yeah, I think last year had a big role in this. I mean, to me, I didn't like how it felt, and the buck stops with me. So to me, it was like that's my area of expertise per se, when you had to pick one side of the ball or the other, and that's where I cut my teeth as a coach, and that's how I got this job many years ago, was because of what we did on the defensive side of the ball and in other places and here. And so when that wasn't right, I'm like, hey, I want to make sure that's right, and to me, I went out and create a system where I hired Chad Wilt to be the defensive coordinator, and I want to call the defense. And so I do like that structure, because the last time I called it, I didn't really have that. Even though Kane was with us in year 2 of me calling it, it didn't feel the way it does right now. So I feel good about the head coaching piece and how we have that in place, and the things we have going there, and to be able to have him handle those things on a daily basis, the meetings, and even today, so the defensive staff's meeting right now and going over things and evaluating things and getting ready for fall camp, and so that can happen when I'm not in the room, and so, but I just, to me, I just guess you call it your gut feeling that you needed to do this, and also I'm excited because I missed it. I really do. I enjoy the preparation process for that, and we've had to kind of work through how that's going to look on game week and everything. But I feel good about where we are with that. We just got to go out and make it happen.
How do you approach opening the year with a conference game, specifically also a team that's conference opponent, so you're playing in week 0 and have a game?
Sure. Yeah, this is number 4. I've been doing this for 6 years now, and this is the 4th time we've opened with the Big Ten opponent. I mentioned that from the podium, and that's just the truth. And so I guess we're used to it. It's become the norm for us at Indiana. I think that trying to decide, with them playing, week 0 and we're not. So there's pros and cons to both. We're obviously going to see them play, and how much they have to show will be based on how that game goes. But at the same time, it'll be our first game. So you kind of got the negatives and positives. You think about that we all understand football. You don't have preseason games in college. So this will be our first time playing. And all you have is spring football since the last season. All you have is your fall practices. Well, those are all against each other. So you don't get a chance to go against another team. So it's going to happen on September 2nd. So to me, but there's benefits to that. I mean, they're going to see things they're not going to know for sure, but that's part of it. First game always creates that. No matter, we're playing against a new offensive coordinator. The guy that's there now was at UTSA a year ago, so they're going to have changes as well, and we'll just see some of that. Yes, week 0, not sure we'll see. I'm sure we won't see all of it, So, but that's the excitement that week 1 brings, and so I don't shy away from us having Big Ten openers. I think they're going to continue. It's good for TV ratings, and we got a Big Ten game on Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday, right, to open the season.
You're not changing your approach in fall camp the 2 times you haven't played a Big Ten opener?
No, but it definitely creates a different urgency. I mean, you just talk to our players. I mean, I promise you, there's a different feel, when you're open against a conference opponent, and it doesn't diminish anybody else we would open the season with in the future. But the bottom line is that the stakes are high, and I love the urgency that situation creates. They're a good football team, and they've been good in the past. I think, to me, they might have gotten back to a little bit more offensively what they were in the past. They just committed to run the football. Their offensive line I thought was better. I thought their defense was really good, and they were playing with a swagger and an edge and a confidence on that side of the ball that you kind of expect, which I thought they had in the past. Maybe lost a little bit there at the end of that system that they were running, but without question, always talented, really good football team. Like quarterback play was better. It makes you better. Talented running backs. I mean, like I said, they've always had the talented, skill guys, and I think the O-line's always been there. But they just played better. They had more. It just seemed like of a system that they were hanging their hat on, and just as a opponent, getting ready to watch them and play them, and then playing against them, and they're just talented team for sure, and just. To me, you just expect a certain type of team from Michigan, and that's what they were, and so I think that'll just continue to grow.
Hey, Tom, how important was that PowerPoint that Jack Tuttle, Cam Jones, and those guys put together that first meeting to say, hey, here's some things that happened, here's who we're going to be? How impactful was it?
Cam and Jack came to me, and they put it together, and we adjusted it a little bit, we just go through different things, but I thought it was very powerful. So if you ask our team, and we've been focused on this during the spring, that there's 3 qualities I think make a great football team. And the first one is they communicate, all right? Well, the second one is player-led, okay? And so you can say that, but if it's truly player-led, it has to be generated by things that the players come to you and want to do, okay? Because that's when it's really powerful, okay? So I was excited just to the fact that that's what they, even though it's like I said, they had a whole list of things, and sometimes, kids don't understand the big picture of certain stuff, so we kind of tweaked some of that a little bit, but man, I was fired up. I knew right then things were going to be different. And it's never big things. I mean, we got a lot of really neat things that I believe that we do, and I believe in them, and they believe in them. But I'm telling you, there's just a little subtle stuff that I feel like that they recognized and they saw and noticed, and we talked about. And so, but to answer your question, I don't think I can put a value on that. It's huge, And once again, I told the guys, and I wasn't in there. They ran it, and I trust them, and but that's earned. That trust is earned. Those are 2 older guys that have been around a long time, and they care a whole bunch about this program. And so I was fired up when they wanted to do that.
What was your reaction to Taiwan coming back for another year, and what are your expectations?
I was excited, but he didn't have the kind of season he wanted last year, and injuries was really the main reason for that. But I would say that special person, special player. I think it was a good decision. I think when you just look at his development, what he needs to be able to do. But it was also huge for our team. Just others seeing that and that encourages others to be able to stay and use that extra year to be able to get your degree or just become a better football player if you've already got your degree. So, but he's a special guy, a special player. Just gives us so much, and I expect him to lead. I expect him to make a bunch of plays and help us win a bunch of football games.
There was an NCAA rule change this year that allowed conferences to do away with divisions, and obviously the Big Ten is not a school that did that, but given how stacked the East is year after year, is that something that you might like to see the Big Ten explore?
I think I've stated in the past, that our conference is really strong on both sides. There's no doubt the history of our conference is pretty clear, one side versus the other. And I think the 8 years we've had, the two divisions, the East has won it every single time. But I will say as things unfold in the future, you can see that changing without question as you add teams. We've already added 2 for sure. Who knows if we'll add more? I have they don't listen to me in any of that stuff, so I'm not part of that discussion. But I could see that happening as well. So, yeah, it looks like that's probably the direction things are going. I don't know when, and I think I said it in the past, I do think it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I do think it's going to happen. I think when it does happen, I think it can be very healthy for our whole conference to have an equitable schedule, where everybody plays everybody the same amount of times and in that regard. So we'll see it when it happens, but I think change is coming for sure, and that's probably going to be part of it.
What are your thoughts on that you felt like you guys lost your edge last year? When you went back through the self-evaluation process, was there a specific point where you could see that was happening?
I think I agree with him, and he and I have had a lot of heart-to-hearts about this topic, and we talked about it with our leadership council a couple of days ago at the end of our workout, and I value our guy's opinion. That's why I talked to him. But I don't know if you could say there's a point. There's no doubt. Iowa was tough. That was a tough loss. I know it's a tough place to play. I never coached there before, but it's that the history, and they've got a great program, and their defense is really, really talented. But I think more the way it happened. It was deflating in a lot of ways. We didn't handle that very well. And when you talk about your edge, we have three mindset points. And the mindset of our program is edge, hungry, focused. And that's been that way since day one that I got here. And when I talk to him about an edge, what does that mean? That means it's your core confidence, and it was shaken. It was. And then you start losing consecutive games, and then the injuries start mounting. And it's, I think that's an unfortunate natural outcome of losing, and you start questioning things that you're doing, and so, we got to get it back. We do, and I'm not bashful to say that. We've talked about it as a team. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to hide, so it's just like we approach it in a way that you want to be great in this life, you want to be a great football player, you want to be a great football team, you got to have an edge. You got to believe in yourself. You got to have a swagger about you. If you don't believe in yourself, why should anybody else? And so to me, that's what we got to get. And that's why the start of the season is critical. It's very, very important. It's, even just, physically, the way we're wired, the way we're made, I mean, there's a natural thing that grows and builds in you when you have a chance to have some success together as a football team. So I just thought that was just kind of definitely, it's almost like we never really recovered from that. We had a pick six within the first 2 minutes of the game, they had a long run, and you're down 14-0, and it's just like wham, 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 wham. And, and then the injuries start coming. And so it just was really, really difficult to recover from. But, you got to. If you want to be able to be, a premier team that goes on the road and plays tough games, and sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't. And it can't be, one game can not allow you to do that and spiral that way. So, but we just have to mature and grow and just keep getting better. But that, to me, would be kind of the way I would answer that.
What does Connor Bazelak bring for you?
Connor Bazelak, he's played a lot of football, thrown for a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns in the SEC. Pretty good league, a lot of good football teams. So I would say experience, just a calmness, a coolness, just kind of just that kind of guy. Doesn't get frazzled, not real emotional, but the thing that jumps out to me is just experience. Been there, been in the big games, played in the big venues. won a lot. He was the SEC Freshman of the Year. Is 2020, I guess it would be. So that's definitely something that really sticks out to me. And he's played a lot of football and started a lot of football games. So excited to have him as a part of our program.
Are there one or two?
Yeah, Mike's done a great job. It's about he's doing what we're trying to do. Build that belief, build that confidence, and it happens one day at a time, one game at a time, and it's all about recruiting. Obviously we're a lot better coaches, we got better players, and I think that that's a big part of what he's trying to do there, and he's got a lot of offensive weapons, and their defense is getting better and better all the time. And so it's about winning football games, and they finished really strong. They won their bowl game, and they obviously got their program going in a great direction. He's a really good quarterback. Obviously played against him twice now. You saw the maturity from the first time we played him to the second time we played him. Just has a quick release process as well. He has the ability to run, which I think is a big deal. He can escape. He can drag plays out and elongate them with his legs, and that's important quality to have. And you can tell he's got that quiet confidence about it. So yeah, he's a really good football player.
Are there one or two ways you feel like the offensive line has improved since last season, and what are you still looking for out of that group in fall camp next year?
Well, just consistency. To me, they got to do a great job of setting the tone. To me, we have a phrase, big men lead the way. Well, they better lead the way. That's the key. And to me, it's about toughness. Just continue to develop that with big emphasis all off-season with our guys. It's going to be in fall camp, running the football. And to me, simplifying some things up front. That was a big focus for us this whole offseason, so we can execute at a high level at critical times. To me, that's what that's where this game. We make a lot of it. It can be complicated in some ways, but it's really not. And so making sure it's simple, that our guys are being able to play fast, and when you're confident in what you're doing, and you're not confused in what you're doing, you play with a stronger edge physically, a better edge mentally, and allows you to play more physically. So to me, we got to be able to run the football, and we got to protect the quarterback. And so to me, that's on those guys, but it's also on the whole system. It's on our offensive coordinator. It's on our whole offensive staff. And so it's not just one group, but it's this play of our quarterbacks. I thought that really hurt us last year. We did not have consistent quarterback play, and that's a really negative thing. But buck stops with the guys up front. They're only as good as that group, and so they got to own that. And we're going to be all over them in fall camp, just like we've been the whole off season, in a good way, because we're not going to let them let up, because they're going to drive us to where we want to be.
When there's as much conversation right now.
I think that we got a lot of guys back, so I like the progress that Michael Kadick made this offseason. I really like, even though Matt Bedford's one of our better players, he needs to improve, and I feel like he's done that in both leadership as well as physically. Luke Haggard, another one, has continued to develop, and he's got to play at a high level for us. I want to see Zach Carpenter really elevate. He's had an excellent offseason. He's got to prove it on the field during the season. I like the addition of Parker Hanna. He's the guy that's played a lot of football. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic. And so to me, that's, you can't have enough tackle body type guys on your team. We got to see Tim Weaver step up. He's got to be able to, I think Khalil Benson's another one that's had a really good offseason, especially this summer. I want to see him take that momentum into fall camp. Carter Smith, young guy, got here in January. We haven't played too many freshmen on the offensive line, but I tell you what, he's very athletic, and I really like what he has to offer. He's going to have to grow up real fast. We got a bunch of other guys as well, but to me, those guys I mentioned, even Randy Holtz is a guy, big old body. To me, it's time to step up, and it's time for that group of men to lead the way.
When there's as much conversation as there is in college athletics about change and things, how important is it to you to be able to reflect and kind of remember the tradition and the traditions that is in the Big Ten and Indiana and things like that? How much do you value that?
I do value that. I'm a little bit of a, old school Big Ten guy, As I've said a couple different times, I've been interviewed, and when I was a kid growing up, I had a poster in my bedroom of the 10 Big Ten schools. And that's why I think it was the Big Ten, to be honest with you. And just the traditions and the histories of all those schools that started this great conference. But then, you got to adapt to change, right? And so now you got, even from then, you got 4 more schools were added. Now you got 2 more schools, so 6 more from that original group, and which shows growth and progress, right? And I just think even as and you think about the kids we recruit, they're not as regional as even I probably was growing up. Well, they ain't even close to how I was raised growing up in regards to that. I mean, they're traveling all over the country, AAU tournaments for basketball, football, travel baseball, whatever sports they play growing up. And they meet a lot of kids, they connect with each other, they're all on each other's social media accounts, and so they don't really think as close as we do as adults sometimes. And so I think, even with the addition of, UCLA and USC, immediately that opportunities for us expanded in regards to recruiting further out west. So you gotta, there's a lot to be said about, holding on to some, traditions that you have, and that's good, but you have to be willing to change. As coaches, I have to be willing to change. As a conference, we have to change. As a university, we have to be willing to change and accept, hey, NIL is here to stay. Okay, we got to embrace it, all right? And so that to me is part of the blending of, this is who we are, this makes who we are. And so this offseason, when we talk about evaluating things, the book I read was Built to Last, okay, because our one word is built. And in that book, it talks about, and my biggest takeaway from that book was the organizations that had great success long term, okay, their common denominator was they never lost sight of who they were. Okay, they had certain core values that those things didn't change. Now they may change the method of what they do. Okay, they may change the day-to-day things of what they do, but the core of who they are, that never changes. And to me, that's our culture: accountability, toughness, love. As a conference, this is who we are. You hold fast to those things, but then the other that you better be willing to adjust. Or you're going to get run over, and some companies that they study in that book don't even exist anymore. Okay, because they weren't able to adapt and adjust to the new changes of the common day, whatever it happened to be for that organization. So that's what I wanted to be able to do as a program. That's what we got to do as a conference.